How y'all doing, everybody? Welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host Cody Potter. How y'all doing? Today we're going to talk about the Commanders Giants preview. Going to go over just real quick, just the Dallas Philly game real quick because that's tonight. And then tomorrow night's the Chargers Chiefs. We're going to get into that like a little bit real quick too before we talk about the Commanders Giants preview. I think the Dallas are in for a tough game tonight, but it is a divisional game. That is a big rivalry. And the fan bases completely cannot stand each other. Teams really can't stand each other. Kind of looking forward to see what Dallas can do with the offense. After the Micah Parsons trade, how's the defense look? Can they stop the run? Can they get after the quarterback collectively? Kind of similar to what we're going to have to do here. Philly coming off the Super Bowl. Teams always say they're focused, all these things like that, but dealing with winning a championship, how is the health? It's hard to repeat in this league. It's a long season winning the Super Bowl, so there's a lot of factors that are going into this. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, both of them have a little bit of nagging injury coming into the season, so again, how do they look? It's a division game. You can never write any team off. Dak Prescott's been dealing with injuries the last couple of years. Everybody knows about his financial things as far as the cap and everything like that. Not winning the playoff games, not winning the big games. Well, you could silence him today, Dak. Nothing really matters until you get to the playoffs. But as far as week one, this is what you need to do. This is your test. It's what we're going to see. Then you got the Chargers and Chiefs Friday night in Brazil. So that's really cool. This is another division game. Justin Herbert, almost very similar. Not to Dak, he hasn't had the career, but having letdowns in the playoffs, things like that. Never really had the coaching staff around him until now. I think they have an identity that's brewing out there. They want to run that football. The selection of Omarion Hampton, which is a player that I really liked in this draft process, leading up to this year as paired to what they've done in the past, picking Joe Alt last year in the first round, getting bigger in the trenches from O-line, D-line, getting better at stopping the run, which was horrible out there before. This is the time for the Chargers to really step up and, claim their throne, claim that they want to compete in this division. The Chiefs have owned the division. They've owned the AFC, not even just their division. So if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and this starts week one for the Chargers. They have played the Chiefs tough in recent memory, but it's time to beat them. This is really where you're at. Year two with Harbaugh, set the identity. Running down their throat, the Chiefs they have a pretty good defense, man. So I expect them to be up to the challenge for this game. You never write off Patrick Mahomes, but this is the time where Justin Herbert really needs to say, I'm in that tier. He's paid to be in that tier. Doesn't really have the weapons like Patrick Mahomes had early on, but it's time to step it up, man. You have the run game. The quarterback's best friend is a run game. Get the ball to the tight ends. Keenan Allen's back. Quentin Johnson needs to step up. We all know what Ladd McConkey did last year, man. He really stepped up huge. He's a true number one, even though he's doing it from the slot and things like that. He still plays outside. Ladd McConkey's a true number one for Justin Herbert. Quarterback's best friend. So, honestly, it's nice to see that type of weapon out there for Justin Herbert. And let's just see what they do, man. I expect the Friday night game to be a hell of a game too, man. Like I said, division game. That's what you love about week one. Football's back. I got a lot of football notes from last week, man. I'm trying to really put them together for a pod for you guys before Saturday. So I'll probably do that tomorrow. But on to the Commanders game, man. So this is really where this is where I do my thing. I love the Commanders. This is who I report about the most. So my biggest thing with that is we're playing the Giants, man. Again, divisional game. It's not going to be easy, man. Russell Wilson's trying to, this is pretty much his last opportunity, I think, at being a true starter in this league. Maybe full-time. The Kenny last the season if this team is competing. I think there's a lot to be said about that. For the Commanders, you know who your quarterback is. It's probably the first time in 30 years that you've known who your quarterback is, from one year to the next. And it's time to build. I will say what the Giants have done. Everybody can make fun of the Giants for all the issues that they've had with Daniel Jones and everything like that. But I will say one thing about Brian Daboll for how kind of interesting things have been off the field for the Giants. They have drafted really, really good players, especially early in the draft. Malik Neighbors, Abdul Carter. This team is doing very well. I mean, even bringing in Brian Burns. I mean, they have gone big game hunting. I mean, it's not like they haven't added blues to this roster. It's not like they're just sitting stagnant the whole time that Brian Daboll's been there, like in Joe Shane. Everybody, they want to talk about whatever because Saquon Barkley leaving last year. The running back position, it has been devalued as far as paying the top guys. The Eagles got away with it, but the Eagles have a much more talented roster than the Giants are in a much different place in their windows and their rebuild and things like that. I mean, the Eagles have been together for quite a few years. The Giants did try to address offensive line, but it just never worked out for them. But to this game, man, I expect the Commanders to ultimately get the win, but there's a lot of factors into the game to getting a win. Plus, we all know divisional games, you cannot just chalk a game up as a win. For me, the biggest keys to the game are O-line. That's always going to be a thing. If you're asking me keys to a game, it's O-line. It's O-line play. Laramie Tunsil, it's the first time we're really going to get to see this guy on the field with this team. I expect a massive contract coming for this guy, probably over the next 9-10 months. He's going to earn it. I mean, this dude is he's a true top 3 offensive tackle in the NFL. Can he get rid of the penalties? Can he get rid of the false starts, things like that? I think that's the only concern you really have with him when you watch him on tape, because we all know what he can do on tape as far as the run game and the pass game. He's a huge human, and he is very athletic. Hand play is really good. Anchor's really good. To the first-round pick for the Washington Commanders this year is Josh Conerly Jr. from Oregon. He's a guy that I've talked about a bunch. I really like Josh Conerly Jr. Brandon Coleman was a guy that I was high on last year that I thought should have gone a little higher than where we got him. So the fact that he's going to be our starting left guard this year, I really like that too. I think Andrew Wiley is probably going to play our right guard spot while Sam Cosmi's on PUP for the first 4 weeks, which I really like that they didn't rush him back. I don't care how much progress he was making. I'm better safe than sorry. I want Sam Cosmi in January, February, much more so than September, and then put him out there a little too early and risk it. So again, offensive line play is going to be huge because, as I talked about with Abdul Carter and the top picks for the Giants and things like that, they have Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, they got Brian Burns, and we all know that they addressed Kayvon Thibodeau really, really highly a few years ago, first round pick. And he against the Commanders has been very, very good. So again, you're looking for this matchup. You're looking for how can this offensive line step up. You would really look collectively around their roster and our roster. You look at the quarterback position. I think the gap in the two says that ultimately the Commanders should win. When you look at both rosters, adding it up, the quarterback will be the difference in the game, in my opinion. But football is football, and that's why you play the game. So you can never really look at it on paper. But when you think about the defensive line matchup, this is why you went out and addressed the offensive line so heavily as the Commanders did this offseason. Because when you get to the playoffs, these are the type of defensive fronts you're going to play. And these are the type of defensive fronts that you have to be able to utilize. And last year, people talk about Detroit not being fully healthy in the playoffs. Yes, we beat them, but they didn't have Hutch. They didn't have all these guys. Well, you can't bank on that. And usually in the playoffs, these teams have them type of guys. So if this year Detroit's in the playoffs, man, you would fully expect Aiden Hutchinson to be there, who I think is the best edge player in the NFL right now. I don't, regardless of what Micah Parsons got and everything, I think whatever Micah Parsons got, Aiden Hutchinson is going to top it because I think he is that dude. And he's a true edge. He is a true edge player. He's not like a guy that's going to line up on the back end on the linebacker position, things like that. Aiden Hutchinson's coming at you from the edge, stops the run, plays the pass. He's a freak. Hopefully he's fully healthy, recovered from his injury. I mean, we all know the motor that Aiden Hutchinson plays with. We all know he loves the game. So, I mean, I fully expect him to be back. And he's going to get that contract. So, but again, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, guys like that coming off the edge. And you have, Dexter Lawrence, who I would say is probably the premier defensive interior player in the NFL. I think it's between him and Vita Vea. I think both of them guys are just relentless in their motor. They're big, huge, super powerful people with explosive ability and things like that, man. So, again, I just we're going to see how this goes, man. I'm very, very excited for this. I think from the scores that I just took away, a lot of the guys are picking Washington. I mean, there's a few guys picking the New York Giants. I think we get the game ultimately. You know, Malik Neighbors is a stud, though. You're going to have to play for this guy, and this is where you're going to see, again, the other test for the position that this team has focused on in this offseason outside of offensive line, which was the defensive backs. Last year, teams' number ones were torching us. That's why you made the move for Marshawn Lattimore. Mikey Samer still went outside, but his more natural position is inside. We prioritized our pick in the second round with Trey Amos, where I think the team really wanted to move back and be able to maybe get a corner and a edge. They chose to go best player available because a player with the first round grade was actually sitting there for them. And I fully support that decision because Trey Amos has a really, really good skill set, and he has played against Malik Neighbors in college. So I like it because when he was in Alabama, he matched up against Malik Neighbors, played pretty good well. Played against Brian Thomas Jr. as well when he was with LSU and JD5 as well. So we're going to see it. So it's not a matchup that there isn't familiarity with. But again, we're going to see how it plays out. And then Marshawn Lattimore, man, he looks healthy this year. Stay healthy. Let's get 19 games out of you, buddy. I really want to see this guy on the field. When I say 19 games, it's because you expect this team to be in the playoffs, and that starts with this game. And you cannot look past this game. This is the only game that matters right now. You want to get out healthy, but you want to set a precedent, man. You really want to come out and set the tone early. You want to be able to run the ball against this team. You added all these offensive linemen. You want to be able to run. You want to be able to stop the run, and that's another facet of this game that's really going to matter. The defensive front, the linebacker play. Can the defensive line actually, hold their gaps and, clog the lanes? Can the linebackers fill the lanes? Things like that. Schematically, because really we don't have the superstars type level players. We have collective players on this defensive front. Only being year two of this rebuild and the things like that and moves that we had to make leading up to this year. But I do expect our defense to still be able to get after the quarterback. I do expect an improved defensive play from the front end as far as stopping the run. But until we see it, until it's done, we can't really, it's all hopes, it's all wishes. But as far as the back end, I expect to see major improvement. I think Quan Martin is going to have himself a hell of a year. I think he's going to start to raise his stock into the upper echelons of the back end players in this league. I think he's that type of player. I think he has that type of skill set. I thought he had that type of skill set when he was at Illinois. I think he has only shown that he is getting better and better in the NFL. So I expect him to really elevate himself into the upper echelon of safeties. And honestly, if he does that, he could be one of these guys getting an early extension with this team because he is really, really fit everything that this team, since Dan Quinn and Joe Witt have been here, he's really fit the bill and taking that leadership role in the back end. Same with Mikey Samerstill and guys like that. And I expect this back end to be the strength of our team. Will Harris is going to be a really good player. He's a super smart player. He's a player that I liked in Detroit. He's a player that I liked in New Orleans. Again, so I think he just fits the bill and he brings a physical presence, and he's a little bit better coverage player than Jeremy Chin was for us last year. So we're going to see that. And then the playmakers, man. Playmakers are a big question on this team. From last year, it was the Terry show. It was Terry and Jaden, man. And then, you had Zach Ertz being the consistency piece that, made the big plays in the big moments, that weren't big-time plays, but they were the big plays you had to have. So, again, outside of Jaden, outside of Terry, outside of Zach Ertz, the next name that you would bring up would be probably Deebo Samuel if you ask around the league. I think Deebo's going to stand out. I think Deebo's going to have a really, really good year. I think, everybody knows what he brings into the run game, man, but I think this is something where that you're going to see him as more of a true receiver beyond what he adds to the run game for this team. He's probably going to get 4, 5, 6 carries a game, but I think he's going to get 4, 5, or 6 receiver touches that are not necessarily just the manufactured screen game touches. Maybe half of them are, maybe 3 of them are screen game or things like that, but I think they're also going to use Jalen Lane in the screen game, and I think they're going to use Austin Eckler in the screen game. So again, it's how do they mix it up and match it up, but I think we're actually going to see him doing 10-yard posts and things like that. Things that he did do at South Carolina, things that they just didn't use him for a lot in San Francisco because they had other guys, 2, they had other pieces that were hitting those zones of the field, and 3, honestly, he was torching teams from the run game, and he was built more to play that, that wing back, kind of player, and beat teams like that. But he's also had injury issues holding up in that role, and I think this team wants him to play 17 games. I think they're going to use him more as a receiver to add to the running game as the wing back and things like that. And then honestly, like I said, the biggest reason that I'm calling this game for us is Jayden Daniels. He's the difference in this game. When you stack us up against any team in this league, no matter who we're playing week to week, everybody knows that the franchise quarterback is the most important position on the field. Some teams have them, and most teams don't. And we all know when teams do have them, that tends to be the difference in a football game. No matter what the defensive level is like, no matter what the offensive level is like on the 53-man roster. The truth is when you have that difference maker at quarterback, it elevates the other 52 players, and Jayden is that guy. I've always loved Russell Wilson. I got a ton of respect for Russell Wilson and the things that he's done in this league. I think he made a hell of a career for himself. I think he's going to do just fine with the New York Giants. I think he's going to get that team right. I think he's the type of mental guy that you want mentoring a Jackson Dart, because I think he would work very well with him. But Jayden Daniels is going to be the difference in this football game. And I just expect, honestly, like people talk about the sophomore slump because it's been a thing, but honestly, the truth is there's been guys that have gone that have improved from a really good first season and had a good second season. Players are what they are. Everybody is who they are. Andrew Luck didn't suck, his first year. He was great his first year. And then the second year, he did even better. He went even further. So, like, Every player is different. You can talk about sophomore slumps when they happen, but there's no reason to think that it's going to happen with this kid. This guy seems to be pretty married to the football game. He likes the process and things like that. I don't expect anything like that. I don't expect any fall off. What I do need to see, though, from him is, does he hit them guys? Does he hit the guy? Does he see the guys in the progression not named Zach Ertz, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel? Does he hit the Jalen Lanes when they're there? Does he hit the Ben Sinats when they're there? Does he hit the Noah Brown? He does have a pretty good confidence with Noah Brown as well. But like I said, man, like, does he hit the Luke McCaffrey when the Luke McCaffrey plays there? That's something that if you look at his rookie year and you really break down the tape, if the comfort level was higher, I think he hits other plays other than the Terry McLaurin certain plays. That's nitpicking. But that's how you improve, and that's how you get even better as a quarterback. And I think this year he's going to show that he hits those plays. Even though you're still going to focus on Terry McLaurin, you're still going to focus on Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, things like that. But you want to see development. You want to improve this offense with the guys like Ben Sinnott and things like that. And then ultimately the run game, man. Like, does this team effectively run the football outside of what Jayden Daniels gives you? Because Jayden Daniels cannot be our leading rusher this year. It just can't happen. If you want to sustain this guy and have a long career with him and him be the franchise guy, you probably want to see about 150 to 250 yards come off of his rushing total from last year. Not because you want to see it not be there for him. You want to see him get all the yards he can with his legs because it is an aspect of his game. But you want to see the running backs honestly probably pick up about another 300 to 550 yards collectively, at least, and kind of balance that rushing attack out. And that's how I really see it for this team. So again, I think the Commanders win this game. I don't do really predictions like that. If I had to say anything, I would say probably about 17-24. It could be closer than that. I would like to see this team put up 28 or more points on the Giants, but I respect their defense, and I think divisional games, you just don't run away with them usually. Would love to see it, but I think this defensive front is going to stack up. I think they're going to play 4 good quarters of very physical football. I think this offensive line has got their hands full. I think Josh Connerly, man, teams are going to want to come after him because they know what Laramie Tunsil is across from him. And while the continuity is not up, what it's going to be week 5, compared to right now, the team's got to learn it. The offensive line's got to learn each other. And I think teams are going to send the house at Josh Connerly. I mean, Abdul Carter, that's a well-balanced breakfast over there. So, again, I think it's going to be a close game. I'd like to see it. Like I said, I'd like to see us run away with it. I would love to predict us 35-21. It would be beautiful to see something like that, but I can't do it. It's week one. You're going to be feeling new things out. You're going to be feeling new players out. I think Deebo Samuel has a pretty big role. I'm very curious to see what Terry McLaurin looks like, coming off of a season where, an off season where he didn't get his normal load in. Just because of the distractions off the field with the contract thing. I want to see what he looks like. And I want to see how the run game works, man. So again, like with all these things that you need to see, I can't predict a big blowout win, things like that, even though I think collectively roster to roster, I think even though they might have a few more blues throughout their roster, we have the blue where it matters, and I don't think their blues are that much higher than ours collectively. So I would take us either way in this game. And just like I said, just because, the quarterback play is just so much different on a different level. And that's not to take away from Russell Wilson. I just think that's what we are as a team. But again, thank you guys for checking out the Blue Chip Podcast, man. This is the Commanders, Giants, preview for this week 1 football. I'm going to do another preview for week 1 collectively around the NFL. I'll talk a little bit more college football on Sunday before the NFL games tip off, and I'm going to do my week 1 breakdown of college football week 1. It was a hell of a week. Lots of storylines. That's what we love college football for. But again, thank you guys for checking out this pod. This is the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. It's your host, Cody Potter. Have a blessed day. Peace.